Starting back in with Chapter 4 on the law of journalism and mass communication. So we're going to be dealing with the next element of libel, which is defamation or making false statements. So with defamation, this is dealing with reputation, and you're trying to show a connection between the damage that's done and the statement that was made. So in dealing with defamation, you're dealing with false statements, and you've got injury to reputation. So when somebody's reputation is damaged, then you consider that libel has occurred. There are different standards that different courts have used in order to try and figure out what is defamatory, and trying to sort what is injurious versus what is not injurious. So circumstances that they've looked at, those have been words or images that are false or injurious to another person, expose another person to hatred, contempt, or ridicule, tend to harm the reputation of another so as to lower him or her in the estimation of the community, or deter third persons from associating or dealing with them, or that subject a person to scorn or ridicule, tend to expose a person to hatred, contempt, or aversion, or tend to induce an evil or unsavory opinion of him or her in the minds of a substantial number of the community, or the words that tend to prejudice someone in the eyes of a substantial and respectable minority of the community. So all these are different standards that different courts have tried to use in order to figure out what statements are defamatory. So there's two different types of, defamatory statements which can be made so far as specificity. So there's libel per se and then libel per quad. Libel per se, which is a statement where the injurious nature is pretty much coming from the statement itself. You can directly link that statement to the damages. So with the example in the book, again, there was Sammy Hagar calling it some nameless woman a liar, and the people reading it were able to figure out just from that statement, or the statements that were made, as to who she was. And then there's libel per quad. That's the type of statement where you don't have enough information on its face, but you're able to put more information to it, and then the statement becomes defamatory because it's injuring somebody's reputation. So the example in the book that was given was communicating that someone had gone to a particular address, and that on its face doesn't appear to be defamatory. It wouldn't defame somebody or injure their reputation. But if you add a little bit more information with that address being known as a disreputable site, and you put that with the first statement, then you have defamation. So on its face it's not enough, but when you put it in context, libel per quad, that's meaning that if you add additional information, then it becomes injurious. Okay. Other circumstances is what the text kind of goes through are ambiguity with headlines. So it could be where with the lack of specificity, and that can come from constraints where there's not enough space to print, and so brevity in the number of words and word choice is used. It can also be used to attract readers and draw people to the article. So different reasons for providing a headline that would be vague. So you can also have ambiguity with headlines where there's not enough information that's provided in the headline, and that could be done for a number of different reasons, whether it's trying to attract a reader to an article, or if it is space constraints Although if there's a digital format, I don't know that that necessarily holds water. But yeah, headlines can be an abbreviated message that can be interpreted as defamatory, such as with Cato Kalin, where the newspaper, the article was printed with the headline of Cato did it, meaning that he perjured himself, but actually it could be interpreted as he was the murderer in the O.J. Simpson trial, not O.J. And another situation where you've got ambiguity is where you may have a headline and then by the article there's a photo, and because that photo is associated with the article and whoever is in that photo, there's potential that that defamatory statement can be connected to the person in the photo. So, like the call to get tougher on crimes example, with a photo of the person next to the article, and so there's that association. One other part that goes along with this defamatory statement section is dealing with businesses, and the textbook talks, it goes into some detail with this. So business reputation is something else to consider. It's a little bit different than the individual. It's dealing with brand, and so that's a little bit different with reputation than what is part and parcel of a human being. Business is considered a little bit different, where it's just dealing with the brand as the identity. So what happens is, with a defamatory statement, there's a potential to impair the ability to conduct business, and sometimes it's called tortious interference. And so there is an impact upon the business that can be measurable. And so there could be a lawsuit making claims for those damages for the business. It is also possible for individuals within a business to have their reputations harmed when there is a false claim made about them or about the business, and then they are associated with that. So that's something else to factor in. You've got the reputation for the business itself, and then there's also got the reputations of the individuals who are involved with the business. A trade libel, or what some people call veggie libel, deals with criticism of products. So it's not necessarily the business itself or of people, but it's dealing with the products. So the two examples that were given in the book were, one was Oprah Winfrey, where the Texas Beef Group sued her because she ran a show on mad cow disease. She eventually won. She stuck it out. But they were talking about how the Texas Beef Group was injured by her having the show and making statements. And then there's also an example, what is it, Beef Products Inc. Suing ABC News when they did an article, when they did a piece on pink slime. So that case actually never fully went through the courts, and it settled. Okay, so that gets us through this element, which is defamation, and we will go to falsity next.